Good morning, everyone. Designing the Lord's house is always an architectural challenge. All of our architectural legends have been based on places of worship, whether it is the ancient stone temples with the intricate carvings, or the domed mosques, or the tall church spires. These are edifices that have the responsibility of awakening hearts to enlightenment, peace, and harmony. Next. It's not okay. It's not working. Okay. We were approached to design the chapel for the Malangara Orthodox Church, and this was to be designed primarily as a worship space for the inhabitants of a care home functioning nearby, and as well as for the people in the neighborhood. This was to be the building that echoed the hopes and prayers of the little girls in the girls' home. Next. Okay, I got it. This is a girls' home situated in the same compound. The church owns a convent school nearby, and people from there also can use the premises. It is a residential area with many families belong to the same community. Even other people, they come here for the Sunday masses. There is a level difference in the property, and we have located the church on the topmost level of it. We get ample light over there, which we try to use in the design. Top view of the church. In the number symbolism of symbolism of medieval Europe, 8 was seen as representing the cosmic balance and eternal life. Related to this, the shape octagon also had deep significance in the community. And there were, as in any building of such import, multiple voices that wanted to dictate the form and feel of the building. But to us, we were sure that it needed to be a place for those without voices, and thus should reflect that which is mystical in our own surroundings. It is a 3,400 square feet symmetric octagonal plan with prayer hall in the center and altar and porch on either sides. There are 2 side rooms for the preparation of the religious proceedings, and there is a veranda all over. That will be used as a viewing gallery at the time of a religious procession. It also acts as a spillover space at the time of a larger gathering. It is a load-bearing, both-side exposed brick building with brick piers at the corner to support the roof. The truss roof is spanning 14 meters. The altar has a gypsum board ceiling with concealed lighting. We feel that intentionality and purpose should be the defining characteristics of a place of worship. In the era of cookie cutter concrete boxes that come up all around and cut off the workers from any kind of creative satisfaction, we wanted to create a space that stood out and allowed for individual creativity. If the painstakingly laid out bricks and neatly pointed out joints were to be hidden off in a plain monotonous grey plaster, how is it any different from any other building? For the bricklayers, how is it anyway their work? Thus, the church was to have exposed brickwork and exposed concrete. The work that went into it was rather highlighted than hidden. While initially skeptical, the workers were overjoyed to find their efforts beautifully come together and shown to the world. As architects, we think of our work as the ultimate realization of creativity. But watching the joy on the faces of our workers when they got their families to show off their work was so endearing to see. It is then we understood that, it is then we experienced that it is not only the realization of creativity of the architects, but also of the workers. They have come to realize that not in plastered monotony, but in individual flawness lies beauty. Here, both the girls' home and the chapel are built with donations, so needless to say that everything had to be cost effective. We were trying to find the best possible solution for each design problem. Openings are designed with arches so that we could avoid the lintel, and arches are of repeating sizes so that we could reuse the metal framework. The chapel has mangrove roofing tiles on top, and there are plain ceiling tiles below, and both are supported by the octagonal framework. There is an altar false ceiling and the windows at upper level. The mysticism for architects lies in the materials we use. It lies in the form that we design and the spaces that it creates. Since the church was to be built at a high ground, there would be enough light all day and all year around. And we could make use of this to design in crosses that let in light to the altar and the spaces inside. And holy smoke is part of the church ritual proceedings. Along with the smoke and the trickling light, ethereal was the feel we wanted, and divinity would follow. And the crosses that let the light in. Isn't that what a cross symbolizes anyway? The divine light that fell on human beings through the Son that was crucified. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move on to the discussion session.
Actually, we are a two-people team, so that is Architect Guru Prasad joining.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation of the project. And maybe there's a certain continuity with the earlier two projects, so um, one is curious. See, there was a project about in 2017 in Italy, not much known, where the Vatican had invited a group of architects to reimagine a chapel. And what was wonderful about that project was that several of the architects invited, Norman Foster was the curator, were non-believers. Yeah, they were non-believers. So I'm just wondering, in a project of this kind, if one has to, going back to this idea of secular, going back to what Meghal had also brought up, if we were to abstract and extract something which is so essential about the idea of contemplation, prayer, threshold to a larger sense of existence which we may not be aware of, what architectural elements would you spontaneously see as carrying that kind of a possibility? It's there in the project. I'm just trying to see whether it can become a
I think that's what we tried to do.
Yeah.
And the beauty of this project is also that they could hire any other architect, but they came to us just for, just because of the architecture. I mean, we are not from the same community, nor believers. So we could, that's what we tried to do in the project. We tried to focus on the nature other than, we didn't put in the boxes, try to put it in the boxes. So we try to look at it in a larger perspective.
I mean, in a way, the question continues from what you're saying. I think the idea of reimagining what that church means. And if you go back to that idea of historically, each moment of innovation in architecture has been expressed and manifest in the church. So you look at Gothic, where was a shift from, in the way structure happened, to continue into time, modern architecture and Alvar Aalto's churches. Each of them is a pinnacle of a new innovation and a new way of looking at architecture for the spirit that it inhabits, Rosha or any of them. In that context, for today's architecture, which wants to look into the future, what does architecture do to contribute to the idea of innovation or looking towards what is the future?
I would say over here we were looking at it in terms of sustainability, cutting out on the cost, and I don't know, maybe in future that will be the prime thing. And here we had a lot of limitations, and I would say there were a lot of voices, like, because it's a public building, it's a church, there were so many people coming in and trying to dictate their own ideas, okay, it should be like this, it should be like that. We just try to make things as simplified as possible, as achievable as possible. The project has taken a lot of years, and the I would not say this can be an example for future, but then for considering the context where the client and the scenario around, I think this is what we could suggest as simple as possible.
I think today's mainstream is for the market, and we have to look at the alternates, which is for the people.